Hi, and welcome to the Beyond the Racing Line end of season review for 2023. I love this show. I love this episode. Get to unpack all the bits and pieces, forget the things that we needed to forget, and move on with our year and next year. I've got Tristan Pocock joining me. Hello, mate.
Hello, mates. It's good, isn't it? Because there's no pressure on remembering races.
No, there's a little bit of pressure.
Doing rankings, news, and stuff like that.
I do find this is the one where I'm like,
just chilled.
Did that happen this year?
Yeah. We got lots of fan engagement too.
Yep, yeah, and we're going to get into all those things. We're going to hit all the top topics like the driver of the year and all sorts of things.
Yep.
I think we're going to name driver of the year about 3 times in 3 different ways.
Yeah, we probably will.
With F1.5, the All Signs That's Awesome Driver of the Year award from Beyond the Racing Line.
Yep.
And then, of course, we get to name who we think the driver of the year is.
And there's loads of news as well too, which I'm excited for.
There is plenty to get into.
Plenty of news, lots of stuff.
So, buckle down, is that what you say? Strap yourselves in.
Strap yourself in.
Strap yourselves in. Grab yourself a beer, unless you're driving in the morning on the way to work. Maybe not appropriate. Grab yourselves a coffee. Enjoy. We'll get straight into it. I like to start these episodes in a bit of a traditional manner, as we always do. I usually get a race ranking, Tristan, but I want a season ranking. What's your season ranking?
A season ranking. You would have to say for all of Max's domination, it would still be pretty high. It'd probably be about 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I sort of feel the same way. Like, I don't feel like there were too many lulls. I think towards the end of the season, when the season was wrapped up, there was a few there when Max was just winning everything, but then, I don't know, there was enough to keep us interested.
Yeah.
I'm going with a 7. I don't think I'll give it the extra half, but I'm going with a 7, and
That's
then it was pretty decent.
That's fair, yep.
Opening question for today.
Yep.
If that wasn't an opening question.
Yep.
What change would you like to see next year?
What change would I like to see?
I'll start.
Oh, yeah,
I'll start because I've given you a cold one there.
Yep.
I want them to just review the 5-second penalty. The 5-second penalty is null and void. It's a useless penalty in Formula One now.
Okay, yep, I like it. Unless it's for something really minor, but it can't be for an overtake off the track anymore. Okay, that's fair enough.
I think we've discovered that is just not an okay penalty. People are willing to take it. So they need to review the 5-second penalty. And if it's an overtake off the track,
Yes.
I believe it has to be a 20-second penalty.
Okay.
A 20-second penalty.
Yep.
Or you give the position back, or you have to drop behind the person that you overtook. So if that means you have to let somebody else through, you have to let 2 people through, so you can get back behind. And I think that's got to be the discouragement enough to make sure that people aren't doing it, because I think they just think, I'll give it a go and we'll see what happens. I think it needs to be discouraged more.
All right, that's fair enough.
Overtake off track.
Yep, that's fair enough.
It's not just running off track. That's different.
No.
Running off track's different. Track limits, that's different.
Yep, full.
I'm okay with a track limit maybe being a 5-second, because you're not picking up 5 seconds every time you break a track limit.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's an overtake, position is key in Formula One, particularly in this generation of Formula One. So yeah, I think that's what I want to see changed.
All right, I like that.
What do you want?
I want to see a change to the post-race, just sort of events.
Yeah,
and
tell me more.
I just want to have a little bit of a break in proceedings. Doesn't have to be too long, but I want to just have a little window where I don't hear from the top 3 yet. Let them go and get weighed. You know, just do some media, just do something. I'm not really sure. I haven't thought too much into it, but then it gives the FIA opportunity that if we've got post-race penalties, if we've got things like that need to be applied, like, deleted times, track limit violations, all that kind of stuff. It means we don't have that awkwardness of getting to the end of the race and then suddenly someone's third and then
they're not third.
Oh, no, you're not third, and then we've been promoted and then we've got all these penalties afterwards. So even just a break. Maybe I don't even need to fill it with anything. Do your qualifying, have a break, check everyone's good, beautiful. Then let's talk to the top 3, do your race, have a little bit of a break, make sure we're all in line, apply penalties. Now let's go and talk to the top 3. There was a couple of awkward moments. It wasn't devastating, but a couple of awkward moments. So just tidy it up. Just tidy it up a bit.
I don't mind the going to get the reactions.
Well,
from some of the drivers.
I
feel like we could get more reactions from more of the drivers. I think
maybe we go
spend
midfield.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think sometimes we spend
Talk
too much time looking at the top 3.
Yeah.
Give everyone a chance to get all that sorted. So while you're doing that, go and speak to some of the other drivers as they're getting out of their cars, taking their helmets off.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, okay, not bad. Rightio, what we're going to do, the way this is going to work is we're going to go through drivers in reverse championship order
Okay.
and just give them a bit of a comment on their season.
Okay, cool.
We're going to start with Nick DeFries on 0 points.
Nick forgot he existed.
Nick DeFries on 0 points.
Yep.
Did you just tell me that you're buying his helmet?
I considered it because it was super cheap and it's actually quite nice, but that was as far as the thought process
How
went.
cheap is super cheap?
What was it, £61, which
$120.
Which less, 98. And my lovely other half, when I had this conversation with her about it, I was like, "Oh, DeFries' helmet, it's like half price," because I wasn't in the mindset of like quickly converting Euro dollars to Australian dollars. However, being the savvy online shopper that she is, I use savvy with air quotes. She told me straight away exactly how many Oz dollars it was.
That's impressive.
Like to the dollar. And then a little smile came on her face when she was like, "Is that right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's right." And then she's, shoulders were back, up and about.
That actually tells me, lovely, that you've been spending far too much money.
Well, we already know that. But I tell you what, she's mighty impressed with herself that she knew the conversion rate of a euro to an Oz dollar at 8:30 at night.
That is impressive.
As too was I.
That is impressive.
And she has gone to bed pretty happy with herself right now, I can assure you that.
Well, I like that. Nick DeFries, not cut out for Formula One.
Yeah, correct.
The decision was wrong after a couple of races to award him a position on the grid.
Seat filler.
He was found out fairly quickly, as was the abilities of Dan Ricciardo to go and fill that seat.
Yeah.
And they gave Ricciardo the little break that he needed.
Yep.
And brought him in when DeFries couldn't make it happen. If DeFries could make it happen, Ricciardo would probably still be on the outer.
That's right.
But he couldn't, wasn't cut out for Formula One, moved into... What's he moved into?
He's in
WEC?
WEC. He was announced as a... Oh, I forget, I was only reading it a couple of days ago. But yeah, he's in WEC.
Logan Sargent, the singular point.
A single. Gee, that's a sad return, isn't it? For what, if you weren't looking at the championship standings, you would think he was kind of serviceable. But then you say 1 point, and it sounds pretty...
26 off his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beaten. Absolute whitewash. 23-0 for everything. Qualifying.
Deserved the next year?
I like that they stuck with him. I think sometimes we throw people out too early. When he showed glimpses of it towards the back end. There are signs that are there.
But are the signs that he's going to be a quick racing driver, or are the signs that he's going to be okay?
I think there's signs that he's going to be okay.
Is that what we're looking for in Formula One?
It's not, but
I didn't
got to start somewhere.
I never saw a sign that there is an amazing result in there. I never saw a sign that...
There were a couple of
hang on, look at this for a nice lap.
Yeah. No, I disagree. There was a couple of opportunities. There were flashes, but certainly not... Yeah. When George was in that seat, for example, things were way worse in that team. Yeah. But he would pull a result out, and you're like, whoa, look at that. That's amazing in a Williams. I reckon there was one where we both said, oh, well, that's a pretty decent result, but then Alex Albon was a few places ahead of him. Yeah. I'm not convinced that he's got what it takes at Formula One level. Okay. I'm with you, though. I like that he's been given another year because... I do.
I don't know who was going to be taking the seat anyway.
And that's it. If you're going to throw a rookie in there, you're really just taking a step back and you're taking the 12 months experience that you've got and throwing it out the window. So, yeah, I think a bit of a waiting game for him.
Liam Lawson, 2 points.
Probably...
Should have had that seat.
Surprise packet of the year, really, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Should never have even been there, but then found himself there and made the absolute most of every opportunity that he had.
Should he be in the Williams seat?
Or
is that calling it too soon as well?
Maybe, and it's probably calling it too soon as well.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he rightfully probably has the pace on Logan Sargent, and I would like to see him have a proper crack, because I think he did some really great stuff in the short amount of time that he was with AlphaTauri. And so, I think he deserves a seat. I think he was a surprise packet. I don't know how he gets his next drive. That's my question. So I know they've kept him on as a reserve driver, and he'll be doing a few other bits and pieces. I'm concerned how he gets his next drive. It requires either Perez to be removed and one of the other drivers steps into his seat, or it requires a team to find space for him, and whether it's a Haas or maybe that Williams, I don't know. He's got to keep himself really current next year to keep in that spot, but he did a good job for those few races that he had. I think the last one maybe let himself down slightly, but yeah, it was a tremendous effort. 2 points for those few races. Really great. Kevin Magnussen, probably the uninspiring signing of the season and re-signing of the season, I would say, for K-Mag. 3 points in the Haas. Thoughts?
To have only been 2 points ahead of Sargent in a rookie year in a pretty meh Williams off the back of an okay F2 championship sort of speaks of where Haas's direction is going, isn't it? We called it last year, didn't we? We were like, meh, not great. Had a couple of really good opportunities last year, pole in Brazil, but then, yeah, it's just been a nothing season. Just wasteful. A waste of a seat? Wasted seat? I know it sounds harsh, but wasted seat?
Yeah, probably. You say compare it to Williams. However, let's not forget Williams finished in 7th spot and Haas finished last. So he was in the worst seat.
Yeah.
I don't know if that speaks more for him or more for Sargent, though.
Nah, I think it speaks more of Haas more than anything. I would put it down to K-Mag. I think it's just Haas's philosophy is wrong at the moment. Do
you think Haas was that far back in the grid that they should have been so far down in the constructors' table? 12 points for the season?
I think their qualifying pace was a little bit of a blanket for what they really, really had.
What actual race pace was.
Because if you think how many times Hulk was in top 5, top 10, doing a quick, leading a session.
And then went backwards.
And then the whole race, every single year, they just tumbled down the order and found their rightful place too.
Yep. Show in the Alfa Romeo, last time we could call it Alfa Romeo. 6 points only. For me, it felt like he started the year better than what happened. And then it felt like the whole team just fell away. I mean, we saw...
Well, if you look at Alfa Romeo actually exiting F1 at the end, sort of quietly teetering off into the distance. It's a little bit like that. I think the whole team is in a waiting game now for the Audi era to begin.
Yep.
So you could say forgiven for him and the team, and probably Valtteri too, that they know that there are better days ahead, and they would have internally known that Alfa Romeo were going, and so it's just sort of, you know what? Let's just wait. Let's not throw everything at it. And I mean, we know, like, being a Swiss team, the minimum wage is a lot more than anywhere else, so they're paying their employees a higher bracket than the other teams. So that affects their bottom line.
Yep. Danny Rick, 6 points as well.
Yeah, good.
Great season in terms of the way that he managed to come back in, show some really strong form, and then I think the glamour sort of fell off it when he got his injury. He came back and showed some more signs of pretty good, and then the glamour fell off it again. I think that was the AlphaTauri, and that was Danny Rick sinking his teeth into what on earth can I do to make this car go faster, and finding out about the team. And I think the team finally having an experienced driver that can really lead their progression. I think Yuki Tsunoda, as talented as we think he might be, I'm not sure he does a great job of leading that team in their progression, and so
we mentioned it the other week.
Yeah, and so I think that was part and parcel of that experience with them. But 6 points is not a bad return for a short amount of time in the car this season. Nice to have him back.
Yeah,
look forward to seeing him in Red Bull.
A little bit of a career saver, a slips catch, wasn't it? It was a real slips catch of a career.
Absolutely.
It was heading for the boundary and just
grabbed it. Back in the game. Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, probably the best of the bottom tier, you could say. I think for me, definitely. Qualifying pace brilliant. Couple of good stints within races. Like, there wasn't a standout race. 9 points. But there were periods of time where he was doing well. But if you
can get 9 points and you're the bottom constructor,
that's pretty serviceable.
It's better than...
And his qualifying, you know what? His qualifying of the bottom rung was... If Max was to the rest of the field, you know, with his qualifying and race pace of what he is as a world champion, then you could say Hulk for the bottom end of the grid, he was probably Max, a version of Max for the bottom end of the grid there. Yep. Bottas, he's waiting for that team to come good. You hope it happens sooner rather than later. Because we love him. We love him. And it's sort of like, they got this talented driver waiting in the wings. I mean, let's think about this driver as a Mercedes driver. But even before then, that talented driver that was with Williams doing all the results for them, lifting them up from the bottom. And Bottas, you just hope that we can see the best of him before his career's over.
and is so required for his team to sort of lift around that. And unfortunately, I feel like it's still a couple of years away.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it's not like they're sitting in a team of mugs. I mean, Sauber are a strong team, and Audi are every year
Audi are
adding more and more and more. Yeah, and so they're building something, and you just hope that he can still be there for the end of that build and enjoy a few years of the reward of what they're doing. So I can see the vision here. It's like he's in a holding pattern. I just hope he doesn't get sick of it in the meantime.
Yeah, I don't think he will.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Yuki Tsunoda, thoughts?
Yeah, again, sort of a little bit of a 50-50. Tale of two seasons, really, wasn't it? Tale of two seasons. Really, really strong to sort of end the season. I would say his back half of his season was probably the stronger point.
Yep.
Started off slowly.
Yep.
Did obviously had that interruption with his new teammate disappearing as well, and I think that sort of threw him, but the announcement of France Toss leaving as well. I think he really values having those senior people around him. But back half of the year, I thought he finished a really, really strong back half of the year, and I think that sets him up for next year as well. I think Dan played a huge part in that as well.
I think Dan putting the pressure on, we saw the rise of Yuki Tsunoda.
Yep.
All of a sudden, things were real here. He had to get serious. He was going to be jumped by Dan and just be this person that's always in that AlphaTauri. I think he's realised that he really needs to step it up. I think Franz Tost has saved his career in terms of the way that he supported him and brought him in. I mean, we know that he was living with him at one stage, and they brought him closer into the team and all those sorts of things. And so, but really, I mean, this is a big boys' game. It's time to really step up, Yuki Tsunoda. For me, he was disappointment of the season for a lot of the season.
Yeah.
The way that his teammates could come in and perform just as well as him was really concerning for him.
Yeah.
However, I think he did finish the year strongly, but I want to see more. Alex Albon, real contender for Driver of the Year, I feel.
Absolutely.
In that Williams stepped it up. He's been through his own battles in terms of through the AlphaTauri program and then into Red Bull and then back to AlphaTauri. And so it's just that one of those situations where it's great to see him come out the other side. It's great to see the benefit of how he can perform Gasly-like, isn't it?
Yep.
And so, it was a tremendous season. I think he really, really inspired by the fact that James Allison went across to that team and started putting some things in place.
Huge.
That was making sense, and they knew that it's not going to be a quick process. It's going to be a slow process, and they've already said a lot of what James Allison is going to bring to that team is going to be next year and the year after and the year after. It's not going to be something that can happen straight away, but he did benefit from a few of the things that could be cleaned up.
Yep.
Incredibly talented driver. One of my dreams is this driver with this team brings that team back to a level that is really competitive. They've now lifted themselves off the bottom, which is where they've been for far too long.
Yep.
I would become a full-blown Williams Alex Albon fan if he could do more and more with his team.
I'll tell you what, the amount of driver contracts that are up at the end of next year is, you would say, almost 3/4 of the grid will be up, with the exception of Max, George,
two Ferrari drivers.
Rattle them off my head. Max, George, two Ferrari drivers. Sergio, I think, is got an extra year, and Lando is 25, Piastri's 26, and that's it. That's really it. Sorry if I've forgotten anyone there, but the rest will be up in 24. So it is going to be.
Yeah, but I want that to be the Williams Albon story.
Yeah,
I really do.
Too.
I think it would be such a story.
Absolutely.
Oh, not necessarily save. I just want to see them both grow into being what they could be. I think it's a lovely match. Big jump ahead from here. 27 points up to 58 points. Esteban Ocon done by his teammate by 4 points in the end.
Yeah.
How would you rate his season?
A bit of an opportunity missed.
Really?
For me?
Yeah.
Yep. To be beaten by Gasly, who started the year very poorly, and then at the end of the season to be beaten by him. There were plenty of opportunities throughout the year and plenty of mistakes that were made, probably, I kind of say, on his behalf. Like, look at Brazil and Fernando, where he just understeered right into the side of him, straight into the wall. There were plenty of points left out there. There were plenty of results left out there for Ocon, and I think, he needs a little bit of calmness, I think, heading into 2024, and he needs to be a little bit more consistent. To
be the absolute last of that midfield group.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both in that position because neither of them could like Alpine couldn't quite compete. They were
No.
sort of all by themselves. They were consistently in amongst the others, but they were never at the front of the rest of that group, and that
Yeah.
really cost them. They never picked up the big points. But yeah, to be done by his teammate, it was only 4 points, but he's newly into the team. There sounds like there's lots of excuses from Esteban Ocon sometimes. I just feel like there's more excuses, less action, but yeah, I think he'll be looking for more.
Yes.
But I'm not sure what and who would be offering more.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to be offering more. I think the consistency needs to come first, and then once the consistency is there, teams might start sort of looking and going, oh, hey.
Pierre Gasly.
Probably a really, really serviceable season. To jump ship, to arrive at the Alpine. Again,
Start poorly.
Start very poorly. I think we're all sort of shocked. Cheers. We're all sort of shocked at the way that he started the year, thinking he was just going to walk in and be able to take that team well under his wing.
How good is that sound, ladies and gentlemen? That is the sound of a Guinness in front of the Beyond the Racing Line sign. That is life, eh?
Some real, what is it, ASMR stuff.
What's that?
You know, he did like the sound effects into the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
There's stupid people on TikTok that do that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
no, don't know anything.
And the
about
ones
any
that
of
irritate you, and yeah. It's like that. It's literally just sounds.
That was delicious, though.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Stroll. I don't know where we're at. Lance Stroll.
What do you say? What do you say? Beaten convincingly by his teammate.
I'm going to give you... I want you to have a guess at how many points.
Oh, jeez.
How many points did he get done by his teammate?
It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot of 49.
132.
Jeez, yeah, that's a lot more than one of those. Yeah, jeez, wow, yeah. It's just
It's just
an absolute
ridiculous
dancing,
amount, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he is up against one of the best. And I think Fernando Alonso, for 3/4 of this season, has had an amazing season.
Oh,
I think he's had an amazing season, but it's like to not be within 100 points is just ridiculous.
he's not even in a conversation where you can compare it. Like, that's a one-man team.
We talked about excuses with Ocon. It is just
no
excuse city. And he had so many DNFs, but my theory, and I think I told you my theory with this, is that when he's a long way behind, they DNF him to save him grace, so then he had 7 DNFs for the season. Yep. Well, no, he wasn't competitive in all those DNFs, so don't label them DNFs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's time to move on.
Yep.
Oscar Piastri, 97 points.
Fantastic.
When you think about where this season started for McLaren, and then the fact that he was always, and rightly so, I must say, he was always last to get the updates, and it was sometimes even a couple of weeks later he'd get the updates.
Absolutely.
But I mean, what a season he's had. We talked about it the other week where it felt like this is the perfect way for a rookie to start.
Minimum to
no
expectation.
No expectation, no pressure. The team stuffed it.
Absolutely over-delivered in spades.
Once he's been given a decent car, over-delivered.
Even when he hasn't had the same equipment as what Lando has had, he's been off the pace. But you know, if Lando's in P5, Oscar's P7, or P9, which is really serviceable. Yeah, absolutely. There was no pressure on him at the start of the year. We were having this conversation 12 months ago. Yeah, he'll be okay. Here's a list of who he'll beat, which I'm pretty sure if we went back and listened to that first episode, I'll tell you, I reckon we would have nailed nearly all of that.
He still got done by...
Who did he get beaten by?
No, well, he still got done by his teammate.
Yep, that's fine.
By 98 points.
But see, I guess the difference there between a Stroll and a Fernando, right? The difference there is that Aston started with really what was a carbon copy of the Red Bull. So they hit the ground running, ready to go. Stroll is well embedded into that team. And Fernando is a 2-time world champion, just a freak of nature. Lando, well embedded in that team. Oscar just arriving in Formula One for the first time, but still took McLaren started with double DNF in round 1 and 0 points across the first 3 rounds. But then Oscar's taken a sprint win. He's had a couple of top 3s for qualifying, and what do you have? 3 podiums? 2 podiums? Something like that. Which is just... So you can forgive that because he's had a win of sorts and has had a few podiums, where if you look at Stroll, no wins. And what did he even have a podium this year, Stroll?
Not that I know of.
I don't know. Like, it would have been one, if anything.
Yep.
And I can't even think of where it would have been. It probably hasn't been any. So that's the difference. That's the difference there. Is that, yes, he was beaten, but delivered a win in a sprint. Multiple opportunities to be top 3 in qualifying. Nearly had a pole, I reckon, on one occasion. And then, yeah.
I think it's... For me, it's like, he would want that gap to be a lot smaller next year.
Absolutely.
And that'll be the target.
But he's so honest with himself.
Oh, absolutely.
And us as fans, too, on what he needs to work on.
I think for me, it's just, like, for a rookie season, and we know how good Lando is.
Yep.
And we know that he was on delay for all the updates. And literally, some of those delays meant that he wasn't in a competitive car while Lando was in a competitive car. If we think about Austria, that was a key example of the updates hadn't come. His car was slow. Lando's was fast. And so there was a bunch of points that were delivered there. And so I think probably the legitimate gap was probably 50 points. I think in terms of the way that he was being delayed those updates. I think 50 points is probably the legitimate gap, but he's going to want that to be smaller next year, and that's going to be what he's working on. We know, and we've talked about the fact that he needs to work on his race management, tyre management, and he opens up and knows that. And the fact that he was driving new tracks all season, it was just a massive learning curve, and I think he did it beautifully and held himself with absolute honour all the way through. And so, no, I think it was a great season. Really exciting talent. And so, I think it was great. But, his number one goal will be to close that gap. I don't think he'll want to be overtaking Lando. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Lando is a really great talent as well. But, he'll just want to close that gap up quite a lot.
Yep.
Georgie Russell, 175. Considered to have had a really poor season, but 175 points, not too bad. Thoughts?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I think we would have expected more from him. But then maybe our expectation was probably what exceeded...
I don't believe in luck.
His ability. No, you don't.
But there were things that were going wrong for his car that weren't going wrong for Lewis's car. But there was also moments throughout the season where Lewis looked right on top. There were glimpses where George looked on top of Lewis. 1 or 2 races here and there. Like, maybe George is back on top. But it felt like for the majority of the middle part of that season, it was like, Lewis is really on top of George at the moment.
Yep.
And so, I think he'll want to sort of turn that around. He'll want to make sure that those things that people consider luck are changed. He'll want to make sure that things are being ticked off a little bit better.
Yep.
But it wasn't a horrendous season. I think when we see our all signs 3, 2, 1 driver ratings, there'll be a bit of surprise in there with him.
Yep.
So, which was interesting. I was looking through the results, and there were some interesting results in there. Carlos Sainz, 200 points, 7th position.
A consolidating season for me.
Had a win.
Had what a lot of fans are saying was the win for them of the year. A real consolidating season. There were times throughout the year we were like, "Ooh, is he the right man, Ferrari? Yes or no?" There was rumours he was leaving, going to Audi, but he really knuckled down, and I feel, as I said, really consolidated.
Yeah, it's a good word. He certainly cemented his place in that team.
Yep.
When there were any doubt, he did cement his place in the team.
It's at the point, if you had breaking news tomorrow that Sainz left Ferrari, you'd be shocked. He'd be no, that's not right.
Yep, absolutely. You feel like he really needs to take that next step though, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that consistency, he needs that team around him. Just when you felt like he was, wow, we've got a real talent here, he'd have a couple of poor races.
Yep.
You'd be like, we're back to this, are we? And so, I'd like to see that extra consistency from him. Lando Norris, 205 points, great effort considering the start of the season that they had. He was only off the pace of 3rd place, Hamilton.
Yep.
By where are we? I've just lost myself. Sorry. By less than 30 points, which is a great effort considering the start of the season they had. Mind you, Mercedes had a horrible start too. Thoughts on Lando Norris?
Yeah. We know he won our F1.5 championship. He is an absolute star of the future, isn't he? and just
I think he's a star of now.
He's a star of now, and is a star of the future. And I think, yeah, what do we say that we already haven't said about him?
He would have come second if the car had been good at the start of the season.
Absolutely.
That's what I would have said.
Absolutely.
I believe he would have beaten Perez to second.
And there were even glimpses throughout the year of where he challenged Max within a race, albeit for a handful of laps, but he was there.
Yep.
He showed that I am here and I have the capabilities to challenge you in race trim, and has the capability to challenge him in qualifying trim as well. And I mean, I still believe that Charles is the man that is the challenge for Max.
Yep.
And for me, he sort of always will be, but Lando has sort of put himself in that conversation.
Yep. Yep. Charles and Alonso on 206 points each. Thoughts on... Let's go with Charles.
Let's go with Charles. Yeah. Oh. Don't know. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because your expectation of Ferrari is so high. The expectation of him is so high.
But yet he fails to deliver.
He fails to deliver.
Or does Ferrari fail to deliver?
But then, and that's it. He fails to deliver on occasions, but also Ferrari fails to deliver on occasions.
Let me ask you this question. If Max was in the Ferrari, would Max have won some races this year?
Maybe. Probably, yeah.
I think so too.
I think so, yeah.
And I think that really speaks volumes for Leclerc. I mean, not that we know that answer.
No.
But I really feel like Max would have won some races, found ways to win races.
Yeah.
Charles does not find ways to win races. Like the race that Ferrari won, Carlos found a way to win the race, and Charles was in the box seat there for moments of a few different races.
Yeah.
And so there is still that racecraft that needs to be developed further.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is on Ferrari. But I'm with you. I think I've said this many times. My dad doesn't believe that he's got what it takes to be an F1 champion, whereas I think he's learning what it's going to take to become an F1 champion.
Absolutely.
I'm with you. I'm glass half full on the man, whereas others are like, he hasn't got what it takes. He crumbles under pressure. Fernando Alonso, season started beautifully. You thought he was on for a season and a half. It was going to be on for young and old.
Yeah, it was. There was
stellar.
There were wins ready to be had. Do you think Monaco was one that got away?
Yeah,
me
absolutely.
Me too.
Absolutely.
And he'll be ruling that too.
It
was there, and it just that last sector from Max was just one for the ages.
Mm-hmm.
It was there.
Yep,
and it's the one that got away.
Started the season beautifully. Mid-season break came. The car went backwards as they tried to develop their great starting point.
Still able to snag podiums along the way of that real journey.
Yep, and then when everyone else got good, he stopped scoring podiums after he said can't see why he won't be on the podium for the rest of the season. And then he was still picking up points, though. When his teammate wasn't, I mean, he was still picking up points. I thought it was an incredible drive for this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Lewis Hamilton. This Mercedes started really poorly.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a man that can finish in third behind the car that is way out in front.
Absolutely.
Underrated season for Lewis.
Absolutely. And a season that went under the radar. Like, if you watch, let's say you don't watch the standings and you really loosely keep track of where everyone is across the year, but then you get to the end of the season, then you open the point standing at the end, and you find Lewis in third, you are shocked.
Lewis had a mid-table season, but has still managed to bring it home in third.
That's right, but that's what he does. Think about a couple of years ago where he would be having a nightmare stint, and then suddenly he's extending tyres and he's doing extra things and he's playing with the car setup and then he's second. And you think, where did that come from? Yeah. It's what he does.
How can we make these comments we're about to make about the person who came second in the championship? Sergio Perez. How can we make these comments about someone who came second in a championship?
Yeah.
Secured second position, Red Bull haven't managed to achieve that before. 1-2 in the championship. He managed to do what they haven't been able to achieve.
Yep.
Why is he not the man for that seat?
I think because let's compare it to the Mercedes era, right? So when Lewis was winning, like Max is winning, Valtteri was there.
Nico was there.
Nico was there on both of them on 99% of occasions in second, and if we slipped up at the front, they were taking the win. When we talk about Sergio, when Max is winning, if at any stage, not that we really, can you think of a time where he nearly slipped up? Not
Nope.
really. But if
Or when he needed a rear gunner.
if there was an opportunity, or if for someone else, or if there was a moment where Max slipped, then the win doesn't go to Red Bull, it goes to someone else, because on more often than not occasions,
Other than those few early races.
you have Sergio fighting his way through the grid from a position where he shouldn't have qualified it.
Yep.
And that's the difference. Because, you know, this chassis that Red Bull built will be one for the history books. And just in the same way that Schumacher's, 04 Ferrari and things like that will go down in history. It's at that level of technology and drivability, and as a race car throughout the ages, that's where it lives. It belongs up there.
The only reason he finished in second spot is because Mercedes started so poorly.
Yes.
McLaren started so poorly.
And
then Aston dropped away.
Yes.
And that's the only reason why he finished second. It's not because of anything that he did. Yes, he finished the last couple of races okay.
Yep.
But it's not because of anything that Sergio did. He started the season well, dropped off straight away.
Yep.
But it's just because everyone else couldn't have that full season. And that's the thing.
What was the points gap? What was the points gap to Max in the end?
Points gap, now you're making me do maths on the run. It was 290 points.
So if we said that a Stroll 100 point is an embarrassment,
30, yep.
and that an Oscar 90 point is pretty serviceable, if you're doubling and then a little bit more of those, that's
an embarrassment.
That's bad. That's 200 in the same gear.
Yep.
In the same gear. That's like if that was Valtteri and Lewis, if that was Nico and Lewis, like 200 points, you'd be going, whoa, yeah. That's huge.
Now let's put it into some perspective.
Yep.
We've seen Seb.
Yep.
While we've been Formula One aficionados, we've seen Seb. We came in at the end of the Schumacher era in terms of our level of knowledge and interest around Formula One. Mm-hmm. So we've seen two of them.
Yep.
We've seen Seb, we've seen Schumacher, we've seen Lewis.
Yep.
In any of those seasons, have you seen a more dominant season where someone is more across everything to do with Formula One than what Max has this year? Lewis would have to come through and have these remarkable victories.
Yep.
And we used to talk him up in terms of, geez, he came from a long way back there, and that was an incredible victory. I don't think he's going to get that one done.
Yep.
Seb had to fight for his wins. He had competitors around him. Yes, they looked pretty strong throughout most, but he had a decent number two at times.
Yep.
Schumacher, I can't be quite as across what Schumacher was doing, but the gaps,
high level of
the gaps weren't as big. However, the season wasn't quite as long. Whereas Max just did not look under pressure. He looked like a man that knew every inch of that car, every inch of how his race was going to run. Whenever there was a little hiccup, they'd make the right move.
Yep.
For me, that's the most dominant season I've ever seen.
Yep. It's right up there.
Yep. And it's not the Max. It's the Max I actually like when I see him doing this.
Yeah.
But I want to see the Max under pressure.
Yeah.
Because Max is relaxed and he's turned into this fantastic guy. And I love this Max in terms of he is fantastic. But for Formula One's sake, we need to see the aggressive Max back.
Of course we do.
Where we've got him under pressure. Yeah. But it was the most dominant season and he was just across everything. And it was an incredible year.
Could not agree with you more.
So that's our rundown of the teams. Of the drivers. Let's move on.
Yep.
All signs 3, 2, and 1 all year. So the way this works, unless we've missed an episode, which has happened towards the back end of the year a couple of times, what happens is anyone on the program gives a 3, 2, and 1 rating to the drivers, and we have tallied them up thanks to All Signs. That's All Signs, AWE Signs. We've got our lead. We've got our winners. Who do you think won it?
Who do I think won? See, I'm not
the thing is, you never see it.
I'm not privy to any of this.
I've put them in order. You never see it.
Okay.
But I've put them in order.
Who won?
And I actually thought that we had a different winner until I was going through putting them in order and I realised that I listed one driver as their first name and then the same driver as their second name and been giving them points throughout the year, and then once I put them both together, I was like, oh, we've actually got a different winner.
So you've been giving like Max a heap of points, and then you've been giving Verstappen a heap of points.
Yeah, on different nights.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yep, that's how well we go.
So you're thinking about like,
who do you think's won it?
Who do you think would do that?
I want you. All right, I want your top three. Who do you think would be our top three that we've given points to? You should know this. It's you and me. Half of this is you.
I know. Well, then, like, Fernando has to be in there because I gave him 3 at every opportunity that I could.
And that was seen in the results.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Fernando was in the top 3. He was in the top 3. I'll give you that.
50% of our points are going to him.
Yep.
Then, it has to be Fernando. So definitely has to be Fernando. So we don't like to reward a runaway winner.
So poor old Max, no matter how good his season was, he didn't stand a chance with us involved.
Because we know he's good. And we don't like to pump people's tires up when they don't need to be pumped up.
Max was not in the top 3. He was 4th on 24 points.
That's only on 24.
Which is a magnificent effort considering we're the ones giving the points.
So that's fine. I feel like we're really... I know I was very up and about Alex this season. And I reckon Albon would be in there. In top 3? No, okay.
That's one of your choices. 2 more. Okay. Who else do you think might be up there?
Who else might be up there?
Oh, sorry. No, well, yeah. So you got Alonso is in there.
Alonso's in the top
3.
Isn't.
I'll give you one more guess.
All right, give me one. I'm going to go with... I don't know. Let's go...
I was surprised.
Okay. Maybe like Dan?
Dan?
Our
man Dan, he didn't race enough races.
I know, we're really on him.
No,
I don't know.
Dan was only on 6 points.
So
we were responsible with our points giving.
Jay was here.
All right, I'll let you have your misery.
All right.
The winner of the All Signs Driver of the Year, Beyond the Racing Line Driver of the Year, was Oscar Piastri.
Wow,
with 31 points.
31!
Well done to Oscar Piastri.
Fantastic.
Feel free to come on down to the Beyond the Racing Line headquarters, which he's actually close by. He's in Melbourne at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's actually close by, so I wouldn't be surprised if I do see him down here, and we'll find him something. We'll find him something nice.
Wow, I didn't think we'd really given him that many.
I was really surprised, and obviously we're placing a lot of recognition for the fact that this man was a rookie, and he was across things all through the year. And
31's not a lot, is it?
No,
because that'd be a best on ground for half the season.
Yeah,
but then we wouldn't have given him best on ground for half the season.
No, see, okay. I mean, we're giving out 6 points per round.
Yeah.
And so, and there's 22 rounds this year. So,
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so
that is a surprise.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. Second place was Fernando Alonso.
Yep, good.
26 points.
Good.
So, you probably gave him 20 of those.
I was going to say, I probably gave him 25 of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is going to floor you.
Okay, yep.
It blew me away.
I feel like it's going to be like Lewis.
No.
No, okay.
George,
okay.
George Russell, we've given 25 points. So now, what people need to understand here is that we don't go back and give these points retrospectively.
No, we give them as the
episodes are rolling out.
Yeah.
And so he's had a much better season than I've given him credit for. I mean, his points difference to Lewis wasn't as high as I actually thought.
Yeah.
And we've given him more points than I actually thought. And so, while people have been down about his season, it hasn't been a bad one. And so, interesting.
And we give it off and just on a whim, don't we? And it's like, that's our just immediate reaction.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
I was really surprised by that because
what did Lando get?
Lots feel like he hasn't had a great season. So then we had Max in 4th position, 24 points, so it was 31, 26, 25, and then Max in 24.
Yep.
Norris 23.
Yeah, okay. See, that sort of speaks where we are with Max, that if we're not looking to recognise Max's domination, then we've probably done the same with Lando there too.
Well, I wonder whether also we were like, let's go with Oscar with this one because the rookie is doing similar things.
Yeah, maybe.
And so, I wonder whether he's been tarnished by the fact that he's up against a rookie. Leclerc on 19 points.
Yep.
Alex Albon, I was surprised. I thought he might have been slightly higher.
I feel like Alex
7th position.
Chunks. Just when we give it to Alex, it's like you give him 3, I give him 3. It's like 3 or none.
Yeah. Let's have a little look. What was it? Alex, 3-3, 1-1, 3-3, 2.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
when you're on, you're on.
Yep.
When you're not, you're not.
And then it was Yuki Tsunoda, 12 points.
Yep. Respectable.
Considering I thought he had a dud year.
Yep.
He's done quite well at the end of the year to sort of pick up those points.
Yep.
Carlos Sainz, 11 points. Ocon, 9. Lewis, 6. Gasly, 6. And Dan, 6. Zhou and Stroll on 5. Perez on 4. I'm surprised he got that many.
You would have given Stroll all 5 of those.
Yeah, absolutely, I did. And then we had Bottas with 3, Lawson with 3, and Nick got 1.
Wow, there you go.
Can't believe you gave Nick a point.
Yeah, I wonder, where do we give Valtteri points, eh? No Haas, that's fine, speaks volumes of where they're at.
That's amazing,
No
isn't
Sargent,
it?
yep.
It's amazing that we...
Don't do anything, they go backwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get into some key questions. This is
Good.
the part I like.
All
This
right.
is the part I like about our
Key
end-of-season
questions.
reviews.
Yep.
All right.
So these are
So we've ran with some on social media.
Oh, yes.
But I'm going to start us without one on social
All right,
media.
hit me with your
All right.
challenges so I can get our socials up.
Biggest improver of the year.
Biggest improvement.
Now, this is a driver
team
and a
or
team.
driver
and a team. I want a driver and a team.
Okay,
Who was your
all right.
biggest improver across the year?
Biggest improver across the year. Team would be Williams.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely agree.
Yep.
Until you think about the fact that it was Aston Martin. To think about where Aston Martin were last year and to where they ended up, I reckon it's a close one between Williams and Aston Martin.
Really? No.
See, Aston Martin,
disagree
while they
with you.
dropped away, the fact of where they were last year, I think they're in a shout. But Williams is the winner.
Yep.
But I reckon they're close. All right,
Okay.
driver. Who was your biggest improver driver?
Biggest improver of the year. Ooh.
It's a tricky one. We had
So
three
many-
rookies.
so many
Had Oscar. Oscar's the
thoughts on
obvious
it.
choice, isn't he?
I wouldn't say improver because we didn't see him. I'm trying to think. I'm more
Yeah.
thinking from last year to this year.
Yeah, but if you think about where he would have started the year, Oscar's got to be the absolute obvious answer.
Yeah.
Nick DeFree was another rookie, and then Logan Sargent. So
You know-
they weren't the ones that you sort of like jumped up and down about. But maybe Logan Sargent
Yeah.
is the man as biggest improver because he didn't really start that well.
You know, as silly as it sounds, I could say Fernando as biggest improver because while was doing well in the Alpine and doing some pretty consistent and considerable points, he has shot himself back into, you know, pre and during World Championship sort of time and Ferrari time, where it's consistent pulling podiums out of the bag really well, and then when it's not there, just dragging that car during that real down development period to a top 5 and even a couple of podiums too. So I think, and especially at the age that he's at as well, to be able to come into a team and then just do that, like you can't understate that.
I'll never understand how you can wedge him into a biggest improver.
But yeah, he is.
You've nearly
Well, he's
convinced me that it's an
41.
okay answer here.
He's 41. He's been off in the wilderness. He's come into an Alpine that's okay, and then he's back to show that I am still like he is still world champion material.
Alex Albon's the right answer. Bad luck.
It's not.
But yeah, you nearly convinced me that it's an okay answer
It
to
is
give
an
a
okay-
41-year-old
it is
the
an
biggest
okay
improver.
answer.
But yeah,
It
it's not
is
too
an
bad.
okay answer. He is
Who
the
has
biggest
actually
improver.
won world championships? I'm not sure how
Absolutely.
you think that's an improvement
It
on
is-
world
it is an
championships. But
improvement.
no, Alex Albon, I think he's a fairly obvious answer as well, along with Oscar Piastri. But to become a leader of a team is a different scenario to being a good driver.
Yep.
And he's had to lead that team, and he's become a good driver, and he's picked up points, and he's consistently done it. It's not like it's just been a couple of good results that's picked him up all those points. So I think Alex Albon, for me, is the biggest improver. Race of the year we're
Race
going
of the
to,
year.
which is a social media post that we put on.
Okay. Yep.
So race of the year.
Yep. Let's do ours, and then will we look at fans after that?
Yeah, I know. Oh, no, let's get a few reminders
Okay.
from fans. A few
Yeah.
reminders from fans.
Yeah.
So we had Adam Hughes. Zandvoort was the star of the year by some margin.
Really?
Surprised.
Yeah.
I remember really enjoying it though. It was a spectacular race.
Yep.
Changing conditions. It was when I was down and out about this racetrack. I didn't think it had anything to offer. I remember being blown away by it, and I think Adam Hughes has got a great call there. I think it is a great call. Sam, Vegas or Singapore. Feels weird saying night race on a street circuit, but the only other race that may qualify is Zandvoort. Okay, flop was Baku. I like hearing about a flop.
Yep.
Can't remember a single thing about it. In the main race, the sprint race was poorly used there as well.
Yeah, it usually is.
Jordan, Zandvoort, without question, great, phenomenal race. Baku was a dud. Ooh, lots to like it. Okay, Singapore, Monaco was a flop from Kate. Vegas was the race of the year from Justin. Justin Cass, not our man. What's he? Dan, Melbourne.
Fabulous call.
It is a forgotten race, isn't it?
For me, Melbourne was the race of the year.
It was a forgotten race. If we go back and think about it,
carnage.
The late red flag. Well, we had a couple of red flags. To put it in perspective, I started the race with you, went down and started watching in the McLaren Hospitality.
Yep.
Then we got a red flag, so I went up and found you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And it was taking too long, so I was like, I'll go down and find out some information.
Yep.
Went back into McLaren Hospitality. Yep. Then we got race started again, and then we got another red flag, and I came back up to see you. So it was just one of those races. It was, and it finished with that carnage and anyway, and then they corrected the correcting of the order. So it was a huge one. Durko said LV. What's LV?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
We're now
Durko.
We're now abbreviating races, are we, Durko? Jeez, you are a modern man.
I've got such a great photo of Australia at the end where the sun is just like where we were above the pit lane, and the sun is just creeping down.
I'd love to see it.
And it was just darkness.
Yeah.
A couple from the other social media pages that are really kind enough to have us post on there too.
Yes, go for it.
Richard Moss, 2 exceptional pieces of driving. Starting in Monaco, Fernando slapping qualifying, smooth as silk, kissing every apex. Then Max came through out the idea of seducing the course and bullied every barrier out of the way to take Fernando's pole. So, Richard, huge on Monaco. Kit Milo asked us which year. This year, Kit. That's all. Nothing more than that. Raymond Alexander. Zandvoort with the crazy weather changes, and Singapore tied first for me in terms of best race. Vegas, Bahrain, and Italy completing the top 5. So I didn't mind that. And Joseph Bridges says Singapore 2 with Sainz's win.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad calls. So you're Melbourne. It's a forgotten race.
Yeah, and I think being there and the emotion and just it was a long day, but it was amazing. And then, God, we were still in the paddock at nightfall, weren't we? I was desperately waiting till at 9 o'clock to try and snag Max's autograph.
Yep.
It was pitch black and everyone was leaving, and we eventually got tapped on the shoulder and said, "Please go," because it was that late, which that's never happened before.
I was blown away by how much I enjoyed Vegas.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to enjoy that race the way I did.
Do you think because it's so fresh in your mind, though, you say Vegas? Like,
no. See, no, it's not my choice.
No,
it's not my choice. But I was blown away by that. It's a bit an honourable mention.
Yep.
I loved Singapore because I just loved the way that race ended. I just thought it was brilliant the way that race ended in terms of the way that Carlos Sainz controlled that race. But for me, Zandvoort is the choice. Those changing weather conditions, I was a dead set against that racetrack. I didn't think it had anything to offer. It changed my mind on it.
Yeah.
You need one of those ones. We had that with Baku with you a few years ago when we seen the first one.
Yeah.
This is a ball fest, and then it gave us some spectacular racing.
Absolutely.
For me, that was my race of the year. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Team of the year is our next one.
Team of the year.
Yes.
There's so many different thoughts on this one, isn't there? Like, you look at it from any angle, and most teams are correct in the answer. Team of the year, I think it would have to be, for me, in all honesty, it really needs to be a 3-way tie.
Really?
I could not split it, and I really couldn't. I could not split it between Aston, McLaren, and Red Bull. I really couldn't. I couldn't turn to you and just go, it's this team just definitively or by some margin, because Red Bull's season was faultless, and it was stellar to sit back and just watch the way that team just ran like clockwork. McLaren's sort of rise from the ashes, and that is also at the same level of what Red Bull have achieved. But then you've also got Aston and what they've Like, they were the surprise packet. Nobody put them at the start of the year at podiums and potential poles and opportunities for a win. And then even with their down period, have still snagged a few podiums at the end and then kept pretty strong towards the end of the season. So for me, all three, I honestly cannot split those three.
I'm with you. I
really can't.
I feel like Aston can't be that team because they blew it up mid-season. They just couldn't run with their success already. So it can't be that team, but I did love what they did.
Oh.
I did love that they sort of got it together towards the end.
And how refreshing was it when we got to round 3 and we're all sitting back going, wow.
Yep.
Where did this come from?
Williams had a great season. In terms of where they were at. But in terms of where everyone else is at, maybe it's not so good.
It was their
They've still got work to do.
It was their first step on the path to recovery.
It was refreshing. It was pleasing to see, but they're not the team of the year.
No.
McLaren, for me, had a year that you do not expect to see from anyone.
No.
To be able to turn it around in such a big way, to make the call before the season starts, this isn't our car.
Yeah.
We've got to go a different direction.
Yep.
To have the balls to do that, then to execute, and then to execute in such a way that you were so competitive was beyond belief. It was absolutely beyond belief, particularly considering the recent form in terms of they've messed up for a long time now.
Yep.
And so they've finally turned it around. I thought it was great. But Red Bull has to be the team. Their only knock is the fact that they could not work out that second driver properly still. It's still their knock.
Yep.
But everything else was absolutely sublime. Even though their second driver wasn't going well, they still managed to get second as well in the Drivers' Championship. They were so far away in terms of everything, and you just can't fault them. You can't. I mean, other than Singapore, they didn't get the setup right at Singapore. Yep. Everywhere else they nailed. Probably got a little fortunate in Monaco. Yep. But apart from that, it was just a stellar season. So for me, Red Bull are the team to be called upon. Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's really highly pushed with everybody else. Red Bull was a team for Sam, for Adam, for Dr. Auto Art, from Chris from Dr. Auto Art. Yep. Really, really impressive. Jared was the same. Jordan was the same. And so, I think everyone was sort of pouring in on the Red Bull love. There was some special mentions for Hero of the Year is McLaren.
Oh, Hero, yep.
I like it.
Yep.
But it's sort of, it was just, fairly overwhelming.
Yep.
Though mine is Snidely Whiplash, McLaren.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Manalo, still Ferrari. The only team to win that was not named Red Bull. I'm not sure that makes them the team of Singapore.
Yeah.
Not sure about the year. Andrew liked Aston Martin call. He was down with that.
Yep.
And JJ was torn between Red Bull and McLaren.
Yep.
And if you had to choose, it was McLaren, and Tristan Michael Eels was McLaren Formula 1 team. So lots of love for Red Bull, but for me, you can't go past a team that can produce what they managed to produce. It's one of the best cars we'll ever see. One of the most dominant seasons we'll ever see from a certain driver, and the other one didn't quite make it happen. Yeah. Driver of the year. Now, this one is going to be contentious.
Okay.
It has to be contentious because does Max is just the absolute obvious choice.
Yeah.
Does he get it? But because he's in team of the year, can he get it? Or is it more of a team aspect of what Max has achieved? However, Max has achieved absolutely everything. Looks like he's done it on his ear. Like, no worries whatsoever. However, is that because that team is so strong?
No.
Or is Max actually the driver of the year for our season?
For me, Max is the driver of the year. Because the Red Bull was good, but it wasn't to the level of greatness that Max extracted out of it.
Interesting. Okay. Yep. So all year we haven't given him the full points.
Yep.
But now you are.
But he is. When you stop and you reflect on the season as a whole, to dominate in the way that he has dominated, it is, he is driver of the year.
Wow. Page disagrees. If it's not Lando or Piastri, then you're wrong. Fighter. I like that. That's strong. Fighting words, them. Adam Hughes. Only 3 real contenders: Max, Alex, or Oscar Piastri. Oscar is Rookie of the Year. I didn't even bother discussing Rookie of the Year because that was fairly obvious.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Max is champ and breaker of records. Alex is Driver of the Year. He carried the team and will have to do it again now that Williams have put in Sargent for next year.
Yep.
Dr. Auto Art, so Chris from Dr. Auto Art. To be Driver of the Year, you have to do something challenging. Max winning never seemed to be a challenge.
Oh.
More of a leisurely Sunday drive in the country.
Yep.
It's close between Sainz.
Yep.
Interesting one.
Okay, yeah, different.
Lando.
Yep.
Oscar.
Yep.
Or Alex.
Yeah, okay.
Or doing things that wasn't expected. Sainz was too inconsistent, so that rules him out. But he did get the win.
Yep.
Alex was great in the wins, but still, the question is, how would he go in a competitive car?
Yep.
Bit hard, because he's not in a competitive car.
Yeah, fair.
But it was a great season. Oscar got a rookie win, which no one expected. But Lando had double his points, so Lando was Driver of the Year for him.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like the way he's worked through it.
All right, a couple other thoughts on this one.
Michael Pearce. Well, let's be serious. There can only be one Driver of the Year, the driver who completely obliterated the competition. Whether you love Verstappen or hate him, personally, I don't mind the bloke. Although I wouldn't call myself a diehard Max fan. I really can't understand where all the hatred comes towards him. It would be ridiculous to claim any other driver is Driver of the Year for 2023. What other comments have you got there?
So, other comments, Peter Dix has to be Max. Carlos Sainz impressed me. Haley Lewis, got to be Max. Not a personal fan of his, but can't deny how talented he is. Peter Hovarth says Alonso for sure. Adam John Keats, you can't possibly spin any narrative that trumps what Max did this season. If you take Max out of the equation, then sure, Alonso, Sainz, Piastri, Norris are all worthy candidates. Michael White, Oscar Piastri for me. Melanda, Max Verstappen, Simon Day, Max 100% top of the list, Alonso second, Lewis takes third. Hans, Max's performance, Max for performance and Oscar for growth. So looking at it from just a different perspective there. Graham Chairman, the stand-in Liam Lawson. Good, like that's an okay call. Like, that's not an awful call.
It's not horrendous.
It's not horrendous.
You can't be Driver of the Year for 3 races.
Yeah, Kyle James, Albon, Alonso, and Lawson as well. So a little bit of love for Lawson here. Pally Holm, Alonso any day. Apparently Max is too boring to watch. And Scott Sinclair says Oscar Piastri constantly in the points. Had a good podium sprint race win. Pretty good for his rookie year. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but a little bit of
Mark Anderson says, I've been watching F1 for 40 years. I like these comments. When we get a little bit of history with them.
Yep.
In 88, I saw a season I hoped I would never be repeated with such domination for one team. 2023 has reset the bar at an even higher level, and history will mark this out as one of the greatest seasons from one of its greatest drivers. You wouldn't pick Eddie Cheever?
Yep,
Cheever?
Cheever.
Never heard of him.
Yep.
As your Driver of the Year in 88. But if you were the Fossey, you might pick Berger for winning the race that McLaren didn't. This year's Berger is Sainz. But there's only one driver worthy. The accolade Driver of the Year has to go to, that's it, Yawn Max Verstappen. Yeah, I'm with you. Remember what followed after the year Schumacher won his 3rd title. Not bad. Not bad call. I don't mind it, Mark. Good call. For me, Driver of the Year, if your team gets Team of the Year, it's really, really hard to get Driver of the Year.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of team-driven stuff. I think that he was spectacular in that, and I think he is probably the best, well, not probably. I think he's the best driver on the grid at the moment. In absolute control, but you've got to be given that control. And I think he was given that control. So therefore, I'm going to go with Lando Norris. To turn around the season that he did, Lando Norris, I think, has had an absolute stellar season.
Yep.
He was strong throughout.
Cool.
Mind you, geez, Max was consistent. But yeah.
But it was scary.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
it was.
Scary.
I think the right answer is Max, but I'm going with Lando for something a little different.
Yep.
All right.
Last
one.
Last one.
You don't know about this one.
Okay.
This is very us.
Yep.
Dud of the Year.
Dud of the Year. Good.
Dud of the year.
Good.
Who's going to go and
Good.
get Dud of the year?
Oh.
I want social media up about this too, by the way.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'll
I
do
meant
that.
to send you a message about this.
Yep. Dud of the year. Wow.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
It's a hard because it's all sort of. Again, it's like our votes. It's all emotion charge, isn't it?
It is. But
Yeah.
why is it Stroll?
Because we are ignoring his lack of ability to compete, to not assault his team. His contract is hidden. There is minimal to no accountability. And if a driver of his caliber was in any other team on the grid,
I'm not going to just say on the grid.
maybe with
in any motorsport
in any
team.
category, the team would not stand for such a lack of performance. And someone would be having a conversation about it, but we're not. We're happy to accept what we're getting, which is mediocrity.
And Perez is the other choice. But it doesn't even compare to what we're getting with
It's
Stroll.
not even close. It's not even close.
Doesn't even compare to what we're getting with Stroll.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think we're in unison with saying this. Lance Stroll is the dud of the year
Yeah.
by distance.
A long way.
Feels like we haven't attacked the organisation as much. It feels like they're starting to get things in place and things are working. I could be wrong.
But they are, though.
The
But
broadcaster still makes mistakes.
Yep.
But I really feel like F1's improved.
Yeah.
We used to nail them for all sorts of things, but I feel like they listen in. They listen in, obviously, to us.
Yeah.
But they listen in and make changes.
Yeah.
And I feel like the broadcaster, while it's not our absolute cup of tea all the time,
They've
they've been making changes here and there, and
Yep.
Bernie's been fantastic for them.
the addition of Bernie, we didn't mind the kids. It's like
and
a
so
little bit of a thing.
I was looking for one of them, but I couldn't find someone who consistently was as shit as Stroll is
Yep.
throughout the season. He is just consistently
Just not
rubbish
there.
throughout. And so, yeah, it has to be him, and it can only be him.
Good.
Isn't it lovely?
That's good.
Don't you enjoy it?
I do.
F1.5, tell us where we
F1.5.
finish with
Oh.
F1.5. This is the
So-
championship that we need.
Yeah, sat there and did it.
I made you go and work it all out
I
for
know,
me,
I know.
but the listeners need to hear it.
All right.
Don't you dare muddle this up.
I'm not going to. I've
Thank
written
goodness.
numbers. I've been touring with
Good.
you all year, and we'll do that. All right, let's look at F1.75. Sergeant Hulk and K-Mag. Coming home, taking out F1.75 was Hulkenberg, picking up 5 points across the end of the season. Huge. Finishing on 108 points. So that's serviceable. I mean, like the top 7 that we finished with in F1.5 all achieved 100 or more.
Yep.
So he's in there.
Yep.
So he's there.
Okay.
Sargent with 88 in second place.
Yep.
And then Magnussen on 74, which is just, again, I think that reflects like the way that we talked about the season, really. So
That's remarkable
that's
that Sargent was so much further ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
Okay.
F1.75. Formula AT or Formula A, however you want to spin it to, which was Lawson, De Vries, and Dan. Nick De Vries finishing on the season on 35 points
Yep.
from his, half season? How many races did he
Yeah,
get?
had a bit over half.
Just on half season.
Bit over, I think.
So 35
Yep.
points. Lawson beating that by 5 points, eclipsing it to 40 points. So how
Yep.
many did Lawson get? 6? Did he get 6 in the end?
5 or 6,
5
yeah.
or 6? That's pretty serviceable.
Yep.
Yep. And then you've got Dan, who did run them down in the end.
Did he?
So took over from De Vries, was supposed to have half the year, smashed his hand into a million pieces, had a couple of rough races, still come back, but he finished the season quite strongly, and he finishes on 58 points.
Oh, well done, Dan.
So that's really good. So really, at the end of the day, it was just under 20 points off Magnussen.
That makes me feel quite positive about.
Warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
wonderful.
All right. F1.5.
Here we go.
7th place.
For those people who are only just joining us now, it's a weird place to join the season, I must say.
Very much so.
But welcome aboard.
Welcome.
This is stats driven, so we imagine that our top drivers are not in the championship, and we award championship points accordingly. So if Norris finishes 5th, however, all the drivers ahead of him are in top teams that don't get to get in this championship.
Red Bulls
We
and
give him the full
Aston.
points of 25 points.
Yep.
Okay, and that's the way it works. Go for it.
All right, 7th place. Who do you think was in 7th? I'm just going to ask you a prediction before I give it to you.
No, I've got to try and think. Oh, God, I can't even... Bottas.
No, it was Zhou.
Okay.
139 points.
139.
Yep. So Zhou, 139 points, 7th place, 6th position.
Bottas.
Yep, 149 points.
Oh, good.
Yep, good. 5th position.
Yuki.
Yes, Yuki Tsunoda on 174 points.
This is going better than I expected.
It is, me too. In, what are we looking at? In equal 4th position.
Remind me of Stroll in this.
No.
Right. Equal 4th position.
Equal 4th position.
Must be one of the Alpine boys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go Ocon.
Yes, 222. Who tied with him?
Oh, it's not one of the Alpine boys.
No,
by
it's
the looks
not.
of that face. Oscar Piastri.
No, it's Alex Albon.
Oh, I forgot about Alex.
Caught him. Had a
Yeah.
fantastic end to the season.
Well done.
So caught him with 220.
Wow, wait. So hang on. Alex Albon has caught an Alpine.
Alex Albon caught Ocon and tied with him.
Wow. That is a stellar effort.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
This is not based on our judgments, our passion,
this is actual
emotion. This is stats driven.
Statistically
This is
driven.
interesting. Okay.
Yep. All right, give me your 3rd place on the podium.
Ocon. No, sorry, not Ocon. Sorry, Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, Oscar.
Wow, 3rd on the podium.
253 points.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Pierre Gasly.
2nd place, the one-time
How much?
champion, 288 points.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which is serviceable. And
Yep.
then Norris, with an absolute runaway, 383 points for driver of the year, which we already know he'd won. There was just a case of that. So, anyway, fantastic. So that is F1.5 wrapped up for season 2023.
How would you rate F1.5? If we're doing a little bit
Highly.
of reflectiveness for this season, because in the last few seasons we brought it in because we needed to remove drivers so we could see where everyone else was sitting
Yes, we
within.
did.
Has it done that this year? It's
course
been
it has.
been a year of having
course
to
it
make
has.
some changes.
Of course it has. I don't know why.
As strong as ever? No, well, it's
As strong as ever.
As strong as ever.
As strong as ever.
I feel like this year's been a lot more challenging for F1.5 due to the fact that we saw Aston Martin start so well and McLaren start so poorly. And so we've seen that crossover, and it's been just such a challenging season for us.
Yeah, but you still couldn't put Aston back in because they were doing so well.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Then
I
you
just
couldn't. There was a point
yeah.
in the season where we couldn't take McLaren out because they still were garbage.
This isn't a knock on your leadership,
No,
my
I
friend.
know.
I'm just saying it was a challenging year for F1.5.
Yep.
Honestly, felt like there was like 5 or 6 different championships going on. There was obviously Red Bull all by themselves.
Yep.
There was the best of the rest, which was mostly Mercedes and Ferrari. But
Kinda
Mercedes
was.
didn't really have a great season.
Kind of was.
And Aston Martin were in that, but then they dropped away.
But then at the same time, you could say that you've got Red Bull at the top.
Yeah.
But then for portions of the season, the second best championship was the Aston McLaren battle. And then
Yep.
the Ferrari and Mercedes
Yep.
were sort of
Yep.
working towards each other, and that's everyone else.
Yeah,
And what was down
so you had
bottom.
the crossover of teams improving and teams not improving.
Yeah.
And then we had Alpine all by themselves.
Just doing what they do
And then
best.
we had the back of the pack. It's
Yep.
just such a tricky season for F1.5. I just want to thank you for your leadership in this
you do
moment.
heaps of heavy lifting.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your leadership in this through this tricky time of a season that didn't necessarily lend itself to it like it usually
It's
does.
the best championship
It is.
getting around.
I couldn't agree more.
It really, really is. I'm excited for next year. Already. I'm excited for next year.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you who's going to be it. Doesn't matter.
I would love to know, and
Summer break.
no one's going to do this for us.
Summer
And I'm
break.
not asking you to do this, but
I'd
I'd
like
love to
someone to
know
do it.
if we just removed Max,
Yep.
who would win?
We'll
And I'd love to see how the results
would be
would.
the championship order.
Not quite.
No,
I don't
not
think
really.
not quite.
No,
I'm
not really.
I'm really interested to see what would
Interesting.
happen. Yeah, and then just a bit further down, I want to see where the Ferrari boys all would have ended up and all that sort of stuff.
All right.
It'd be an interesting.
I'd like someone to do that.
Yeah, go on, someone.
I tell you what I
dare
have.
ya.
I tell you what
I
I have
dare
been
ya.
doing. Have you pass me your charger? I wonder if I can do this. I wonder if I can do this while we're still recording.
A charger.
Pass me your charger because my laptop's gone flat. Because I've been working. I've played around with Chat GPT,
Go on.
and I'm gonna. I wonder if AI.
Can work it out for
I
me.
wonder if AI will do it for us.
No, this is not a podcast activity.
It is.
We've been through a few. We used to watch videos, and we decided that wasn't podcast activity.
You were showing me things last week, and I said
I know,
the exact
and that's the
same
first
thing
time
to
I've done
you.
it in 7 years of podcasting. This is not a podcast activity. Let's get into some news while you're playing with this.
Right, you hit me with. You do the first news segment. I'm literally going to put it in there.
Well, now you put me on the spot because I don't really come through to think of any news. Although, the latest news.
Yep.
The latest news. So, the Wolves are in trouble. The pack is in trouble. Toto and his lovely wife. What's his wife's name? Susie.
Susie.
God, for some reason I was going to say Claire. No, she's with Williams. Or he was with Williams. Toto and Susie are in a little bit of trouble because some teams have complained about a conflict of interest within Formula One. The issue comes from the fact that Susie is in a situation where she's working around a working group on some development within Formula One. And so she's a little bit privy to some of the things that are being worked on within Formula One. Then Toto gives her some information that she can take to it. This was only brought up because Toto made a comment in one of the briefings or the meetings of the team principals, and a few of the team principals sort of like, hang on, that's a bit of an odd comment to be making for someone who shouldn't really know what's going on in that situation. And so there's some complaints have been made. Toto's come out firing, saying that people are misogynistic and all sorts of things like that. And so FIA is actually doing a little bit of investigating to find out, right, is there a conflict of interest going on here? It's an interesting situation. I wouldn't expect that either of us would actually know the answer to this.
AI has failed us miserably.
I'm not surprised. But yeah, so it's a bit of an interesting situation. I feel like Toto has fired off far too quickly. I think the question should be asked and can be asked.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just because people ask a question doesn't necessarily mean that there's a complete accusation of something.
Yep.
And so let's go and find out. And if there's nothing wrong, then we can continue on. But if there is something wrong, then let's go and fix it. I feel like Toto's fired off really hard in a really strongly worded statement. And I think that maybe, let's just do some checks and balances, because we don't always do that in Formula One. We look at Ferrari and where things have gone with Ferrari and some of their penalties in the past. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Any extra thoughts on the Toto and Susie issue?
Let's read through the statements, because statements came out this morning from both Susie Wolff and Mercedes themselves. So this is the Mercedes official statement on their Instagram. So it says, we note the generic statement from the FIA this evening, which responds to unsubstantiated allegations from a single media outlet, and the off-record briefing, which has linked it to the team principal of Mercedes. The team has received no communication from the FIA compliance department on this topic, and it was highly surprised to learn of the investigation through a media statement. We wholly reject the allegation in the statement and associated media coverage which wrongly impinges on the integrity and compliance of our team principal. As a matter of course, we invite full, prompt and transparent correspondence from the FIA Compliance Department regarding this investigation and its contents. So that's the official statement. So if you really, there's no real sort of like, there's no real detail of learning it. While it's a good, strong statement, it's still very vague.
Yeah, well, I think they're trying to make it sound vague to try and lessen the thoughts around what's going on. Yeah.
This is Susie Wolff's as well, that came out today, so it came out at a similar time. So her official statement says the following: I'm deeply insulted but sadly unsurprised by the public allegations that have been made this evening. So I thought that was an interesting way to open it.
Considering that Mercedes had said that only one media outlet had reported it.
Yeah. But then to already just go on the front foot and say I'm sadly unsurprised. Why are you sadly unsurprised? What makes you think that? Tells me that you've heard this before, or it's something that's
I think she's referring to the fact that she's a woman in Formula One.
It's disheartening that my integrity is being called into question in such a manner, especially when it seems to be rooted in intimidatory and misogynistic behaviour and focused on my marital status rather than my abilities. Throughout my career in motorsport, I've encountered and overcome numerous obstacles, and I refuse to let these baseless allegations overshadow my dedication and passion for F1 Academy. As a woman in the sport, I've faced my fair share of challenges, but my commitment to breaking down barriers and paving the way for future generations to succeed remains unwavering. In the strongest possible terms, I reject these allegations. So that is very, very like
hitting it,
bang, hit you right between the eyes. Yeah.
For me, you can't have both.
No.
The fact that they're married is really important in this. She can't go and say, I'm being picked on because of my marital status. There is a conflict of interest. If you're finding out information that no one else is finding out, or you're bringing in information that you know from a team source, then there is a conflict of interest there. Now, I'm not saying that she can't be trusted. I'm not saying that whatsoever, but there is absolutely conflict of interest, and it needs to be investigated. I'm not saying that it should be acted upon, but you can't just say, "Oh, you've got to trust me." Just because I'm married, it doesn't mean you can't trust me. Just because I'm a woman, you can't trust me.
No.
There has to be that transparency around, well, is this the right person for this because of what her husband does? This might be a different role for her in Formula One, but maybe one that needs that trust element isn't the right one just at the moment. And so, yeah, I think they're taking it really personally, and I think it's a worthy investigation.
And look, while it probably you will know things, like you'll know things about the inner workings of what's going on, and you'll probably sit down at tea at home and you'll be like, "How was your day?" And you'll either loosely just mention it, or you'll just have a conversation in the privacy and the four walls of your home. But it certainly won't be to the extent of I am deliberately leaking.
Do you share everything with your partner?
Yeah, it's most things.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Day. Like,
I'm
there's
the
parts
same.
of the day where you just think, well, like, it's not
but
important.
I share most things. You got to get things off your chest, and you got to be able to do that. That's what a marriage is.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned about their marriage if that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, especially the big things throughout the day. There's parts of your day that you just omit because it's not important or you can't be bothered talking about it. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one for me in terms of the way that they've come out swinging. I don't have a problem with the way that there should be an investigation here. Other news that you want to talk about?
Other news, yes. So, Spain.
Spain is a country.
Barcelona. So, let me find it here. It looks like that Barcelona is going to be dumped from the calendar.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
You are okay with that?
See ya.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Why?
So it looks like it's going to be dumped from the calendar. So
when? Next year or the year after?
Well, let me read the statement to you.
Okay.
So according to F1 journalist Joe Saward, F1 has agreed to a deal with the municipality of Madrid to host the Spanish Grand Prix from 2026 onwards.
Ooh.
So we're going to Madrid.
I'm down with
this.
this.
It's a street circuit.
I'm down with this.
All right. The proposed track will be a semi-permanent one featuring 19 corners. So that's what it looks like at the moment. So we'll be in the inner city of Madrid.
Let's do it.
So that's one way.
Barcelona stinks. Let's do it.
Barcelona. So that's the way it sort of is. So you can look at IFEMA Madrid, okay, and you can look at Mad Cool Festivals, which sounds like two really, really unusual places to go and have a look for an F1 track layout. But the two F1 track layouts look vastly different. So I'll throw a poster up, a post up of those. But yeah, IFEMA Madrid, and you'll be able to see the two proposed layouts of what the circuit's going to look like. I don't know that I need to go to another street circuit. Like, I really don't. I feel like we're becoming very street circuit focused. And
tell me about all the street circuits on our calendar currently.
Okay, well, let's go through the street circuits. Yeah, Baku is a street circuit.
Correct.
Monaco is a street circuit.
Correct.
Singapore is a street circuit.
Correct.
Vegas is a street circuit.
Correct.
Australia is a street circuit. It is. It's a street.
It's considered a street circuit.
It is
I
a street
think.
Circuit.
Yeah, but it's.
What is it? 99% of the time of the year, it's a road. It's a street.
Tell me about all the right angle corners that are there. No, look, I understand it's considered a street circuit, but it is not a typical street circuit. It's not high walls and lots of right angle corners. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm with you. We've got 4.5. I think there's room for one more, but I'm with you. Absolutely, I'm with you. Unless these street circuits can be in really interesting spots. For example, we've got Jeddah as well. That's a street circuit.
It's a street circuit, yes, I know.
But that is definitely not a street circuit. If you're thinking about a typical street circuit that has lots of 90-degree corners, it's not considered a street circuit. And so there's street circuits. This is what I'm getting at. There's street circuits and the street circuits. Australia and Jeddah aren't those boring street circuits.
No, but they're street circuits.
And so I think if you can make an interesting one, like Jeddah, like Australia, I mean, we obviously want a better overtaking point, but it's interesting in the other aspects. If it's got some curves, Miami's actually a street circuit too. You forgot that one.
I know, I hadn't finished.
And so, I feel like it depends on that circuit. Yeah.
We cannot start to fall down this path of dumping traditional motorsport racetrack.
You can if it's Barcelona, because that joint stinks.
We can't start replacing for the novelty and the pop-up of a street circuit. While the excitement of a street circuit is great, and high walls and concrete barriers provide an element of risk versus reward. However, You can go to traditional high-quality circuits, such as Canada, that will provide that there for you as well. It is not a street
would
circuit.
you prefer Barcelona or
purpose-built.
Madrid? Because that's the options at the moment.
Honestly, I haven't seen anything about Madrid yet, but right now I would probably prefer Barcelona.
I'd be keen to see something different because Barcelona's annoyed me for a long, long time.
It's annoyed me.
It's better. It's better now that we don't do our pre-season testing only there because I feel like we become too systematic on that joint. But yeah, I mean, it produced an okay race 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This year it was a stinker. And I think it's just a real meh sort of joint. Yeah. I'm happy to look at some changes. Yeah, it's not one that I desperately need involved.
Because you know who races on pop-up streets? Formula E races on pop-up streets. You pick a town, you build up barriers, there's your circuit, and I don't want that.
No,
the history
has to be quality,
and the passion for places like Spa and Monza, and even Austria and the
I agree.
It has a rightful place. Silverstone, it has a rightful place. And if you are a Netflix fan, then yes, we will do new things because new things are great. But you have also got to come along for the ride on what is the history of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anyone's.
No, I know.
Barcelona's been a knockable joint for a long time. And I think that
I worry
looking at some options,
we go too much about trying to please the new audience, and they need to also be accepting of what has come from the past.
I'm very happy with this idea. Not as happy. Remember when we got rid of Sochi?
Yeah, Sochi sucks.
Remember when we got rid
all
of
the time.
France?
That sucks. They suck. They're correct calls.
But so does Barcelona. Now they've made the changes. I want to see Barcelona. I do actually want to see Barcelona again since they've made the changes because you've got to give these joints a couple of goes.
Yes, you do.
But I'm okay with it being on even a rotation basis.
Yeah.
2 years at one, 2 years at another.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes.
But then you've got like Paul Ricard is an actual circuit. Like that sucks. Sochi is an actual circuit. It sucks.
Yeah, so therefore, your answer of only street circuits being sucky is not the right one.
No, I didn't say that.
Sprint races.
Oh, sprint
races. We're going
to
China, Miami, Austria, Austin, Brazil, Qatar.
I love sprint.
Oh, good on you. Look at you turn it around.
I was reluctant to post that last time.
And the format is still up in the air. F1 loves to keep a format up in the air for a long time, don't they? How's it going to work? How's the weekend going to work? Thoughts on the racetracks that they're doing it, China and Miami? Let's start with those two.
Well, China we haven't been.
I'm looking forward to being back at China.
Very long time.
I'm looking forward to going back to China.
I'm really good at China on PlayStation.
That's because there's a long straight that you just get to sit still on.
Really good.
Just to press the accelerator off you go for 2.5K.
Miami. So China will be all right.
I think it'll be okay
because you can pass.
I think it'll be okay.
Miami will be an epic failure.
Couldn't agree with you more, but I want to see it. I want to see it. This is going to be an experiment.
It will be a procession for 25 laps.
I couldn't agree with you more, but
a single overtake.
I really want to see it because what the sprint race does is it gives us full-blown racing for 25 laps or whatever it is.
Yep.
And I think this might be an interesting little experiment to do in Miami. So I'm keen to see it, but I'm agreeing with you. I think it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, right. So China tick, Miami, as big a failure as Lance Stroll's career in Abu Dhabi combined.
Austria,
good. Red Bull Ring is amazing.
Tick.
And you can tick, and yes, I love it. Austin, tick. Austin is like everyone's love child.
It's a good spot for...
You can't not love
It's
Austin.
a good race to do some starts of races.
Yep.
And which is what we do with sprint races. We start a race.
Yeah.
And then we don't race it for very long, which I'm down with. I'm with you on that. Brazil,
tick.
I'm not convinced.
No, tick.
I think Brazil is one of those racetracks you can leave alone. This is a weird situation you and I are having because you're the love child of history in Formula One.
Tell me the best sprint of the year.
Yeah, I'm with you,
Brazil.
but I don't know that Brazil needs the sprint.
No, it doesn't need it, but it's unreal. So it's okay to be there.
I think we could have had it at somewhere like the silly Barcelona, because what it does is it means drivers race flat out. for 25 laps, and I think it could make some improvements. But anyway, I don't think Brazil needed it, but it'll be fine. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yep.
Qatar,
meh. Don't know.
it's very, very unenthusiastic, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, I'll watch it if I have to.
Yeah.
But I won't. Like, I won't leave work on Friday going, oh my God, it's the Qatar sprint.
Are you surprised they didn't bring Vegas in for it?
No.
I was expecting to see Vegas as a sprint race.
I think they need to relax.
The timing, I think, is the killer with Vegas. But
Vegas is your uncle at the Christmas party that has had way too much to drink, and while it's been fun,
that's good,
and quite embarrassing at times, at some point he needs to sit down and relax, and that's what Vegas is.
Any more news you want to talk about?
Any more news? No. Before that,
very good.
Give me a sprint. Thank you. Give me a sprint location that we should be going to, because
Australia, because I'm desperate to see you at Australia.
All right, cool. I'm going to say Silverstone.
We've been.
Yeah, I know.
Silverstone
deserves
I don't think Australia's actually a good spot for it because the overtaking is incredibly hard there.
Yeah.
But I want to witness a sprint weekend. Yep. I think the weekend feels full and wonderful.
Yep.
But I'd love to see that.
Austin will be the best. Austin will be the best of that.
I think it's a great choice.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to going to China.
Yep.
Any other news?
That's it.
We've got to say a big thank you to Dr. Auto Art, Chris from Dr. Auto Art. Get over and see him because he has been fantastic all season. Fantasy F1, I haven't actually heard from him whether they've been in contact with him.
I don't know,
yet.
and we haven't had anyone in contact either. So does that mean by default, like, what do we say, by Friday, and then we get their prizes?
I'm not sure that's how it works.
Okay.
But Chris has been wonderful. We have threatened to get him on all season, and it's something we have, failed in big time this year. It's something we'll endeavour to get some more people on. I think that would be one of my goals. We had Paige and Sam on in this season. Remember that?
Didn't we?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time
But it was
ago.
wonderful, and it sort of inspired me. But then all sorts of things happened where the Beyond the Racing Line headquarters got up and shifted.
Yep.
And we're building this empire over here.
Empire.
Yep.
Good.
And we've had all sorts of other things going on, a few tragedies in families and all sorts of things. So it hasn't been the way we expected it, but we do want to get Chris on because he is a big supporter and we love having a chat to Chris and we want to get some other people on. So if you'd like to be involved, certainly swing us an email. We'll get there, but we'll endeavour to get a little bit more consistency around some of that. Thanks to All Signs for sponsoring our Driver of the Year throughout the season. Jay from All Signs is if you need any signage needs over in that area of the world.
Over Christmas, if you need some Christmas signs.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
It might be a bit late, actually.
It might be a bit late for Christmas signs.
If you need New Year signs or later on signs, I think you'll be kicking me. Well, I don't know. You'll be like, Roger, I can't get those off the ground in time. You need to be better prepared than that.
Yeah.
But so certainly sing out if that's what you're in need of, and I know there's a few people that have been singing out to him, which is fantastic. I want to thank all our wonderful listeners throughout the season. For all the interaction. The interaction on socials is so good. One of the highlights of my season was our audio questions coming in through the internet. That was the other thing that screwed us up. I got hacked and I haven't been able to access any of those things anymore.
You did get hacked, actually, didn't you?
However, I should be back. I'm just playing around with having 2 accounts at the moment. But, so that was some of my highlights of the season is getting those audio questions in. I think Paul started that and Sam's jumped on board and Paige has jumped on board, which is fantastic. Yep. Possibly Kingsley got us in with a few of them, but thank you for everyone for the opening questions and all those bits and pieces and all the interactions. Thank you for putting up with us.
Thanks.
It's wonderful.
So good.
I want to thank you for your leadership in
mate.
F1.5.
Thanks for all the great work you do with our pod behind the scenes.
It's been another wonderful season.
That's good, isn't it? What are you going to do for the Christmas break?
For Christmas, I'm going to spend more time setting this up. We're still recording from the workbench, which is not the overall plan. I want a desk over in that corner there.
I'm becoming accustomed to it.
I know. I quite like the height of it too.
I was just thinking that. It's a good height.
There's a few things that I really love about this space, and so I'm thinking...
It's got everything we need.
I was going to buy a desk and put it over there, but I'm at the point where I'm like, maybe I'm going to build another one.
You need to build one.
And it might be like custom.
You'd be proud. You'd be more proud of it if you build it.
It just won't look as nice.
No, but you'll love it more.
Yeah.
You'll love its sentimental value.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that, but yeah, I need us over that side so then I can get my workbench back without having microphones on it and things like that.
Very true.
But yeah, so that'll be number one priority. Swimming in the pool. Now we've got one.
Yes.
What about you?
Oh, I'm going to the break. I think we're going to South Australia for a little bit.
Oh, I love South Australia.
Yeah, so we're driving.
You're going over for the gravel ride with Bottas?
Yes, yeah, that's a good idea actually. I thought, I do need to get a bike, don't I? I need to take HL on the bike, like on this little bike seat that's sitting on the bar, maybe.
So
yeah,
good.
so South Australia for a bit. Bit of trips to the beach.
Fantastic.
Just a bit of nothing, really.
Yeah, lovely.
I think it's just sort of just mowing the lawn. I love mowing the lawn. It's so relaxing.
Come on,
Watering the lawn.
My lawn takes a long time now.
You know, like you get like at 8:30 at night, daylight savings here in Australia. You just go outside and just water the lawn.
Beautiful.
It's
It's
the
thing.
little things, isn't it?
It is a lovely
it's
thing.
the little things. How sad that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking forward to.
We hope everyone gets through the break safely. We will, and I definitely won't promise, but we'll endeavour to get some shows out across the break.
Yeah, we'll do some stuff.
We definitely enjoy it.
Love it.
It's not through lack
And
of
we love
enjoyment.
hearing from you too.
We do. Yep. So we'll try and get some bits and pieces up, particularly livery time. We love livery time.
Oh yeah, and send us some photos over the holidays. So like Christmas time, if you get F1 related merch, or if you just have something unreal that is F1 related, just send us some fan photos, and we'll throw them up on the social media if you're very happy for us to do that. Send us your favourite things. Christmas Day, if you're watching race highlights, if you're off somewhere and you see something amazing F1 related, just, you know what I did see really good F1 related at the op shop the other week? Just a set of Adelaide Grand Prix hats. So $2 a hat. I'm kicking myself for not buying one.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I've got an old Adelaide hat. It's like one of those Legionnaire hats with the flap down the back when I went as a kid.
I've got an original circuit side poster from the last race in Adelaide. Framed.
Goodness. Fantastic.
I need to get that
signed. I need to get, actually, that's my other job, is to get the Dr. Otto
You need to get Chris's art up. You need to
paint the wall.
Yep.
There's a bit of work to be done.
Good, I like it. I'm excited for it.
There is plenty to be done. But look after yourselves, everyone. While you're away, get in touch with us. And, thanks again for a wonderful season. And we can't wait to get back into it next season. But until then, goodbye now.